The Washington State Attorney General has filed a consumer protection action against a florist who refused to provide flowers for a same-sex ceremony. The florist told a longtime customer it's, quote, because of her relationship with Jesus Christ. Dana Rebick of our Seattle Fox affiliate has more.
Baronelle Stutzman has made bouquets for hundreds of weddings, but has only ever turned down one.
Before he got all the way through, I grabbed his hand and I said, I'm sorry, I can't do your wedding because of my relationship with Jesus Christ.
After being denied, Robert Ingersoll and his partner took their story online, and it quickly went viral. The Attorney General's office got wind of it and 2 weeks ago sent this letter to Stutzman, warning her that not providing flowers for the couple is a violation of the state's anti-discrimination law.
There's someone who has fairly blatantly denied service to a gay couple because of their sexual orientation. I don't think there's any dispute that but for the fact that they were gay, she'd be happy to provide wedding services.
State Representative Jamie Peterson was the co-sponsor of last year's gay marriage bill and says the legislature did debate this issue and decided to carve out an exemption for religious institutions only.
We did specifically decline to do that for florists. That was a feature of the campaign. The opponents to Referendum 74 talked about the failure to exclude that exemption as a reason not to approve the law. The voters of the state of Washington did not agree with them. So at this point, the law is actually pretty straightforward.
And the reason he's wrong about that is that Arlene's Flowers has had gay employees, had served the couple in question for years, never been a complaint. This is not about not providing services to gay people. This is about there's a particular activity that this particular business owner was not comfortable with.
Joseph Backholm is with the Family Policy Institute, whose group has signed on to a letter challenging the suit. The florist's attorney says he will fight the consumer protection lawsuit on the grounds that arranging flowers is an act of expression, and any infringement on that violates her First Amendment rights of free speech.
Would you compel an artist to paint a portrait that was inconsistent with who the artist was? And you wouldn't, and there's strong case law on this.
While the debate is hashed out in court, the flower shop owner is standing firm.
It's just a personal conviction. It's not a matter of you're right or you're wrong. It's just how I believe.
Dana Rebick, Q13 Fox News.
The ACLU has also filed a suit against the florist. Joining us for fair and balanced debate are civil rights and criminal attorney Ron Kuby, as well as attorney David Gibbs, president of the National Center for Life and Liberty and president of the Gibbs law firm. Well, is this consumer protection or freedom of speech? David, I'll start with you. I mean, there's a clear law here in place, and florists were not given that exemption to make a protest on religious grounds. What does she do?
Well, Shannon, absolutely. I believe this is a freedom of speech, a constitutional violation as this law is being applied against this particular florist. She clearly has the right to practice her faith, not just when she's at church, but in her business. And she made it clear that she would sell to them, she would work with them. They've been long-standing customers. This is not a business discrimination. This is the state of Washington bullying this woman, I believe unconstitutionally, into doing something that violates her rights as a religious person. It also violates her rights to speak as an artist. When she does these flowers, there is a statement in that. If pornographers can have free speech, she should have that same freedom.
Ron, how do you balance these competing interests?
Well, we've been balancing them effectively almost for half a century. About 50 years ago, there was a very broad and deep consensus in America that given the way commerce works, it is best for everyone if people who are holding themselves out to the public as providing goods and services are not permitted to discriminate even on the basis of deeply held beliefs against their customers. Liberals like that because, we liberals believe in, equality and kumbaya and all of that. But conservatives like it too because you can go to the store, for example, and buy yourself a six-pack without having to go through a checklist. Are you pro-choice? Are you anti-abortion? Are you Republican or Democrat? Do you support the war? Do you oppose the war? Are you a Christian, a Jew? Are you a Mormon who is lapsing? Just give me the beer, all right? You're not supposed to have your nose in my business. You're supposed to sell me the product. Now, Mr. Gibbs makes two very different points here. One is that this is an expression of her religious faith. And it may very well be. But as a lawyer, he knows full well, for example, that say I refuse to pay my taxes because my religious belief says I shouldn't support war. And in truth, I think Jesus said a lot more about war than he did about flowers at gay weddings. How does that work out, Mr. Gibbs, when I say I refuse to pay my taxes as a matter of deep religious faith? I don't want to be paying for the killing of other people. I lose, right?
David?
Well, I will say that you will lose as a taxpayer because the law is pretty clear on taxpayer standing. Yeah. But when you're looking at a government, in this case the state of Washington, telling this woman not just that she has to sell flowers, nobody's disputing she's sold them flowers for almost a decade, but to force her to go do what violates her faith. And by the way, these freedoms cut in all directions. I believe a homosexual florist should be able to say, you know what, I'm uncomfortable with a Muslim wedding. They believe in the death penalty. I don't want to participate in that. I choose not to. And that really the market, as you said, can handle this so much better. Is this really what we want? Our tax dollars, the state of Washington, investing time and effort going after this one Christian woman who says, you know what, I feel uncomfortable personally participating in this. She'll sell them the flowers. She just doesn't want to be in the ceremony.
Okay, that's fine. So it's not discrimination against gays. It's discrimination against gay marriage. Fine. What if she decides that today, Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day, everybody, I don't want to send flowers to a lesbian mom or a gun-owning mom or a mom who is supporting gun control? Do we really, in this society, want to be in a position where every merchant who sells us anything gets to pry into our most personal and intimate religious beliefs? You're going to hold yourself out to the public as selling flowers. Sell the dang flowers. That's all this is.
And she would, and she has sold them the flowers. And we're not asking that people inquire when you sell a product if they want to take the flowers to their own wedding. But we're sitting here just like attorneys. You know this. You and I can decide whether we're going to get involved in a case. The ACLU can decide. Churches can decide. And I think business owners should have the right to decide when they're going to personally participate. That's where the free speech, that's where the freedom of religion comes in.
David, I totally respect your belief that that's so, as long as you recognize that there is 50 years of law and litigation and Supreme Court decisions, particularly from very conservative Supreme Courts, that simply says you are wrong. I admire your creativity. I love the free expression argument that arranging flowers is a form of speech. It's symbolic speech conveying an idea. I mean, I think that's totally charming. I used to be a grill cook, for example, and when I made my food on the grill, I viewed it as expressing man's isolation in the universe, a world without God. Everybody else just saw cheeseburgers and fries, and I still had to serve them to people, whether they were Christians or Buddhists or Jews or Muslims or gay people or drunks or rednecks, because I was in the business of selling cheeseburgers, notwithstanding my own personal sense of creation.
Gentlemen, I like how creative both of you are on this topic today. Thank you very much, David and Ron, and we'll watch and see how it plays out in court. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.